I have been given the wonderful topic, what is the future city? And I suppose I could make this short by cutting to the chase and admitting that I don't know. I don't know what the future city will look like, but that's not as much fun as talking about why I don't know. And what I want to do is look to the past. I want to try to give a little context right now about the relationship between cities and technology, because technology has been intimately involved with the evolution of cities for a long time. So, what is humanity's? Let's see. I'm trying to advance. I see. What is humanity's greatest invention? Is it fire? Is it agriculture? Is it the telescope or the microscope? Is it the clipper ship or the rocket ship? Well, to me, humanity's greatest invention is the city. I am lucky enough to be running the Committee for Sydney, where my day job is to work on urban problems of all kinds that are affecting Sydney and hopefully come up with some constructive solutions. Before that, I was in a similar role in San Francisco. So I have been lucky enough to see quite a few cities up close and understand some of the extraordinary things cities can do, and also some of the extraordinary problems some of them face. So I really like to think about cities as a technology for holding human difference. And part of the magic of cities is they allow so many different kinds of people to mostly get along with one another peacefully. We have become an urban species. Today, most human beings live in cities, and that number grows every day. This is driven by people searching for economic opportunity, of course, and we know that people cross oceans and leave their places of origin for economic opportunity. But it's not only about that. It's also driven by people searching for a place where they can become themselves. Cities have this wonderful paradox where they're the very gathering together of so much difference and diversity actually allows people to find others who are like them. So if you're gay, you go to the city to come out. If you're a sculptor or a computer coder, or you want to start a new religion, you go to the city to find your community. Cities have been shaped by technology forever, since their invention. The technology of buildings, the technology of war. This is, of course, a walled city on the left, but highways were in many countries, certainly in the US, were sold as a defense technology. The technology of transport, of course, and you can actually really sort of understand instantly wherever you are in a city. You can understand within a number of seconds what was the dominant mode of transport in the moment that part of the city was built, because it so profoundly shapes the way cities work. You can tell if you're in the streetcar city or the pedestrian city or the automobile city. We are today in a new wave of invention, and smart cities is a name given to some of that. But this new wave of invention encompasses hundreds or probably thousands of different inventions, from solar panels to electric scooters. And we are today gathering some of the best minds who are working on some of them. And they have so much potential to solve problems and make city life better. But if we take that, what I would call fundamentally optimistic view toward the new technologies, that doesn't mean that we rush to embrace every new technology or get out of the way for the inevitable march of new technologies. It's up to us actually to decide which technologies we want to deploy and to develop. So for example, with autonomous vehicles, it is not our job to get out of the way and allow autonomous vehicles to be wherever they can be. We first ask the question, where do we want cars to go? And only after answering that question and reserving spaces in the public right-of-way for pedestrians and cycleways and plazas, only then, once we know that question, do we then welcome autonomous vehicles where they make sense. Or perhaps instead of autonomous vehicles, we're going to first go for autonomous trains, which of course Sydney has done. There are so many problems we still need to solve. We need to figure out how to make everything in the whole world without generating carbon. Steel, concrete, food, everything. We need to figure out how to raise levels of education for millions, maybe billions of people. So we need a lot of technological invention. At this moment, with COVID spreading around the world still, where Sydney is on the verge of what some people fear is a second lockdown, it can be hard to be optimistic. During this crisis, many people are predicting the end of cities, as people tend to predict from time to time. But cities are going to be okay. For one thing, rural areas are being hit just as hard as cities by COVID. And for another, all the reasons people wanted to be in cities before COVID are still going to be true after COVID. For thousands of years, in fact, cities have been evolving and responding to disease. This is, of course, the 1854 cholera map from John Snow that was part of the discovery that certain diseases were waterborne, and it led directly to a reconstruction of cities all over the world to put in place sewer systems. So I think about COVID and this question, do cities need to change? Not as inevitability, but as a chance to ask the question, what we want the future city to look like. So this is just an example of kind of of a whiteboard brainstorm that we're running with people all over Sydney, where we're sorting out potential changes and grouping them by temporary or permanent. And then we group them further by overlaying that with a second question: are these changes you want to make or changes you don't want to make? So if you want to make it and it's temporary, well, that's an opportunity to experiment in the upper left quadrant. If you want to make the change and it could be permanent, well, this is your chance to do that. There may be some things that are painful but necessary. So that's, well, here I have it applied. I have examples here. So that would be reduce the ridership loads on public transport. There may be changes that would be permanent that you really don't want to do. So if you own office buildings, that would mean converting it to some other use. You want to put that off as long as possible. So we are, we have hundreds and hundreds of these from running workshops on this idea. But the point is that COVID, like every other crisis, does not inevitably drive a change to cities. It is an opportunity to ask the question, what we want cities to look like. We have learned a lot about what makes cities successful over the years. We want them to be walkable and compact rather than sprawling. We want them to have an interconnected grid of public transport and cycle lanes. This is, of course, Vancouver, by the way. We want housing of different shapes and sizes and price points. We want beautiful buildings and public spaces. We know a lot of the basic ingredients, but the truth is that there is not one right way. There are a lot of successful urban models that have existed and a lot of successful urban models that will exist. So I close with a shot of Wakanda, which is both an eco-city and a technopolis, and a reminder that the story of the city is not yet written and it never will be. We don't yet know how it will turn out. Thank you.